Andrew Henderson is a partner at Thompson's Solicitors Scotland who represent a number of the families. He welcomed the news.
The concern is that it's taken a considerable period of time, too long, to get to this point. And although there's been an announcement made by the Crown Office today, that simply is saying that they will be applying to hold a fatal accident inquiry, and that application will be made some point next year. They're not actually saying, they're not in a position to say yet when the inquiry itself will start. So that means that we are likely to be in the region of 5 years down the line from this dreadful tragedy before an inquiry actually starts, and that's too long.
I suppose the argument for that would be that this is a very detailed case, complex investigations had to be carried out on the wreckage. It's better that it's done right rather than rushed.
Well, of course it has to be done right, but there are many cases that the Crown Office are involved in, that the criminal justice system is involved in, where there are huge, lengthy, complex inquiries that need to be carried out. You think of a fraud case, for example, or a murder case. These frequently come to court far quicker than this inquiry is going to come to court. And the important thing from that is that it's effectively a missed opportunity, because what happens is that a fatal accident inquiry is twofold. Its purpose is twofold. Firstly, to find out what happened, and secondly and crucially, to try and learn lessons for the future. And my argument would be that if you wait 5 years, you've waited too long for the purposes of learning lessons for the future.
Have you managed to have a chat with any of the families that you represent about their thoughts on today's announcement?
We haven't had that opportunity yet. The Crown Office announcement this morning came as a surprise. I can't say whether they have notified the families of those involved.
Have they been kept up to date throughout the years?
I think the Crown Office would say that they have. I think some of the families have concerns in that regard. I think naturally there's a feeling when something takes as long as this that things are dragging out unnecessarily. Of course it's recognised that an incident such as this, hugely complex, and the tragic circumstances mean that it needs to be properly investigated. But, as I say, 5 years is too long in anyone's timescale.
And were you surprised when it was announced that there's to be no criminal proceedings at all?
I think the position has to be reserved on that until we see what information comes out at the inquiry itself. That the Crown Office have said that is their position just now, but they're not ruling out, as I understand it, a change in that position should particular evidence come out at that inquiry.
So what would you like to see the fatal accident inquiry cover?
I think it'll have to cover, as one would expect, all the circumstances of this tragedy, all the ways in which the various events came together, if you like, to cause this to happen, and importantly, how lessons can be learned to prevent something like this happening ever again.
The families have received their compensation, haven't they?
All the various families involved have settled their cases. I can't speak for any other legal firm's involvement in matters. I
just wonder now whether it's a matter just of answers to questions that they will have, or could there be any more compensation involved?
It's very much a question of answers. When something happens to cause the death of a loved one, what the people left behind want to know is why it happened, and what they always want is matters to be improved for the future to prevent other families going through the similar tragic circumstances.
Andrew Henderson there is a partner at Thompson's Solicitors Scotland who represent a number of the families involved in the Clutha tragedy.